let's start. So today we're going to be talking about all things messaging, but looking into the future. Just a bit of stargazing today. So let's get our creative hats on, let's get our thinking hats on about where we're going. Obviously we have to have a nod to our past. So I'd like you all to be thinking of some things you want to be asking, either at lunchtime or even during this, if you have time. And just a quick introduction. So my name is Arun Dehiri. If you weren't in the last, I was on the last panel. I run a strategy consultancy. My colleague Adriana is at the back. So if you want to speak to either of us, please do. We specialise in all things telecoms, media, technology in terms of helping business with growth strategies. So I'm going to approach things from a more holistic point of view. What I'd like to do, we've got two people who are joining us remotely online, modern technology, Igor and Chandras. So what I'd like to do is just quickly, just a few seconds, Igor, if you'd like to start, introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Igor Skutsinya. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager for Line Telecom. I'm specifically involved in our RCS projects and our NT-Pro projects.
Thank you very much. Chandras?
Thank you. I am Chandras Rana. I head the business development for Bankai Group. And Bankai Group is one of the global leaders when it comes to carrier services and telecom solutions globally. And thanks a lot for having me on this panel discussion.
Welcome. Valentina?
Hello, everybody. My name is Valentina. I'm Sales Director for the carrier team in the London office. And my KPIs cover from infrastructure, data center, rapid transit, and also the mobility services. So messaging, sponsor roaming, IPX. And now we're also moving into IoT and 5G. So it's really very fulfilling for me to be at China Mobile. I've been in the London office for 10 years now, and it's great to have visibility of all the carrier telecoms products.
And Jake.
Hello, my name is Jake. I am here proudly on behalf of Scarpel. Fairly new into the industry, so I'm a year in, and definitely haven't looked back at all. And I'm an account manager, so I'm in charge of SMS. And that's what I do here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Okay, so we'll get stuck in. So let's kind of have a very sort of broad opening question to think of the... whoever knows me would know that I like to think of the customer first, okay? Always think commercial. And then think about technology, not the other way around. That's how I think. So I want to start by looking at customer demand in messaging. What are the main big trends driving customer demand? Igor, would you like to kick us off with that question?
Sure. The big trends that are now in messaging are several. I would name the big three. Overall trend is obviously the demand for communication isn't down, and the demand for messaging specifically is not down as well. However, it kind of due to latest changes, it kind of redistributes itself from one messaging channel to another. So the big three trends I would like to focus on would be, first of all, the outflow of messaging from the SMS due to several reasons, like the rise and the publicity that was given to artificial inflation of traffic. So this is now not only becoming a big issue, it's also a public issue, and we see and hear major brands that are considering alternative channels, no longer SMS. The other big trend would be the rise of alternative to SMS channels. Those would be WhatsApp and OTTs, the major move that they made in June, I think that last year, when they publicized their pricing for business messaging, but the breakdown of several like conversational marketing, authentication use of WhatsApp. So those two things kind of influence the outflow of messaging traffic from SMS. And also the third one is the continuous rise of RCS. It's still not like major, but still, especially with major announcement by Apple that they will be accepting RCS in 2024. Some people in industry name September 24 as the date. Still, this will be a major influence, and we see how many messaging players are kind of bracing for impact when that happens.
That's a really nice introduction, nice framework you've set there. I just wanted to just pick up on one point before we move on, which is RCS. Could you just give us a little bit of color as to what you mean by that, and what does it include?
Specifically, Rich Communication Service is a Google-driven, right now it's Google-driven attempt to make like an SMS 2.0, to use the most used application on mobile phone, the messaging application, to have all the features that are usually used by OTTs like WhatsApp, like Skype, and sometimes by proprietary applications. Like within RCS kind of environment, you can have intellectual chatbots, you can have suggested actions, you can have integration with payments, with calendar, with location, with many other things, and have kind of have the AI-based approach to make to use the previous history, to use the background of the user to kind of frame the discussion, to frame the things that are suggested within this chatbot, to make it intuitive, to make it effective, and just to make sure that people are using the messaging application for the best user experience.
Thank you very much. I mean, there was a hidden reason for asking you that. I wanted to bring out AI early on in the conversation. That's why I asked and double clicked on that point. Chandras, would you like to share your perspectives, please?
See, adding on to what Igor has said, that yes, of course, most of the brands globally are thinking beyond the traditional SMS. But when it comes to technology, it's very fragmented world still. Like you talk about Europe of the world or North America, where like smartphone penetration is already more than, or rather 90-95%. It's very easy to have enterprises thinking beyond traditional SMS. But there are the part of the world, like you talk about Africa, barring some part of North Africa, smartphone penetration is still below 50%. So still, I feel that traditional messaging is growing in those part of the world. Yes, artificial traffic generation or all that has taken a hit on the industry. And yes, industry is evolving, and the same way enterprises want to have more ROI when it comes to their marketing campaigns. And with evolution of artificial intelligence and chatbots coming, I feel that COVID was that inflection point for the industry as a whole at enterprise segment. Like if you talk about India, where we have more than 1.2 billion mobile subscribers today, and lots of enterprises are getting very innovative and thinking beyond traditional messaging, and they are using chatbots, AI-induced marketing campaigns where they can do the predictive analytics. They can kind of also get into recommendation system on the basis of analytics. So lots of things are happening, but what I feel is SMS still is relevant to at least 50% of the global markets. Just imagine in Africa, like 70% of mobile money still happens through USSD. So when mobile money is happening through USSD, it will take at least, as per my maybe next 5 years, to that part of the world or some part of Asia to have RCS taking the ground.
Thank you very much. Can I ask the same question to Valentina, please?
So what we see, the trend is this demand from customer really to have bespoke services and conversational e-commerce, and be able to basically, when you receive an SMS, to reply. It's just an instinct that we now have by the utilization of the app. So as an MNO, of course, we want to, let's say, push and support this SMS conversation. And that is where we move into RCS. China Mobile will start doing offering RCS for China coverage. So that could be an interesting movement for us, an interesting new perspective. and so that we can support international brands that have a lot of operation and sales into China. Same, for RCS, then we move into, let's say, a 5G message offer, which is what it brings, is just an upgrade to RCS. It's based on RCS technology, but it brings, let's say, capabilities of shorter latency. So you can, for example, have a quicker response to customer and also have a more precise, for example, geolocalization for services that you want to offer them. And we also have add to the 5G messaging the potential of like a big bandwidth. So the brand can contact, do a massive marketing campaign, can have like a massive group chat. So, and then you have possibility to add augmented reality. So in terms of technologies, you will have augmented reality coming into the messaging. You will have emotional AI. So from the message and RCS, you can also basically understand how the consumer is reacting, and you can do an emotional analysis on the brand or the offers that the enterprise wants to sell. And also we have, so on AI, of course, we have all the capabilities of fraud detection as well. And also we are adding some, let's say, transcription, so that you follow the large language model. So from a SMS, 5G SMS, you can also transcript now in China what has been written or what has been said. Of course, if it's an SMS, it's written, but we can also support that on the 5G calling. And so that is also a lot of information, a lot of data that the brands can have to support their business going forward. And you also have blockchain technology, for example, that can support the brands and the MNO to verify the identity of who actually is using the service.
Thank you very much. That's very comprehensive. You've answered my second question, but that's okay. That's all good. That's all good. Jake, so I know you've been around. Well, a year is a long time in the industry, so please don't feel that you mentioned you were new to the industry. You're definitely not. What are you seeing in your world as being sort of main trends, perhaps that your customers are asking for?
I've definitely learned a lot in the time I've been here. Been surrounded by the best, and the people that want you to succeed have definitely taught me a lot. The most common thing for me is people saying that the industry is going down in terms of everything's lowering, or sometimes you hear the word dying. I completely disagree, and this is clear evidence. We're talking about all these different structures or things that are possible. Within this building now, some of the smartest individuals we know within the telco industry, and it's just proof that we adapt and evolve. And if something happens, we build, we grow, and that's the most common thing for me. That's what I hear frequently, and I couldn't disagree more.
Okay, well, I hope no one here thinks that we're all going down. So I think Valentina talked, let's pick up on that point, about technology innovations. Now, you mentioned some really good ones there. So I thought we'd come back to that. So are there any sort of innovations that you think we want to just talk about a little bit more in your portfolio, perhaps? Are there any sort of that you're thinking need more investment or will drive more profitability, perhaps?
Yeah, so I think what is is amazing to see what China Mobile is doing. So China Mobile Group is basically combining the different technologies to come up with a new service. So we have like a research institute, we have an IoT company, we have a device company. So IoT, we have an AI laboratory and research and development. So what is happening is that they are trying to combine all this technology and then come up with the best solution. That could be 5G calling, can be this 5G messaging. We're also doing solution, of course, on 5G development and IoT. But I think what we see is that now all these capabilities are emerging, and we hopefully we will hopefully be able to service or offer it to the international market. So I work for China Mobile International, which is the international branch of China Mobile Group. So we hope that this technology that will be available for the international brands and be able to collaborate with partners on some new pilot and groundbreaking project together.
So, gentlemen on the videos there, so Igor, Chandras, Igor, perhaps profitability and so innovations that might drive profitability. Let's really think kind of about some advanced stuff here. So what are you seeing?
I would like to continue what Valentina referred to as the usage of AI within messaging channels, and to make sure that you have the variety of scenarios to choose from. You have a lot of options for your customers. And obviously, just the optimization that is provided by AI is making sure that the cost for maintaining a very complex scenario, a large amount of customers with all the backgrounds and all the options that they are being offered, is a lot easier with AI, and AI just makes the whole thing a lot easier. And also, since I'm also involved in anti-fraud thing, I would highly recommend companies around the world to use AI-based solutions in terms of
Okay, I think you're frozen. Can you hear us? Okay, let's move over to Chandras then, if you can hear us.
Hello.
Yeah.
Till the time our friend Igor comes back, let me take on the ship. Adding to the point what Igor was making, like lots of companies are doing lots of innovation. Like for us, like in Bankai Group, we have more than 1,000 plus technical resources in India. Those are, and we have our own innovation lab as well. They keep on working 24/7, 365 days for the new technologies. AI, of course, is bringing lots of exciting opportunities to industry as a whole. It is not limited to only messaging. It is moreover adding value to the whole customer experience. And the personalization specific to messaging, what I feel is where AI is adding more value is on the personalization of the messages. Like with the customers getting more tech savvy, they want everything on the finger. So once AI would be there, it will make the customer experience more enriched. And beyond that, fraud is also a concern. Like with evolution of the technology, lots of the subscribers, like if you talk about in our part of the world, today digital identity is also a big concern area for lots of platform companies. With AI and fraud management system, I feel it would be a very good combination where one side you give the very good experience to the customer, on other side you are securing that particular customer for any identity theft or subscription theft. So industry is moving in the right direction. But again, I want to add one thing that like Google launched their RCS services in India in 2022. And within 1 month, they were forced to kind of stop that because there was lots of spamming that happened to Google RCS. Lots of enterprises started doing that. So what I feel is it is a double-edged sword. And we need to go step by step. We cannot be very aggressive, like only one channel, be it on RCS or be it AI will make this industry like that's the only panacea for every whatever bad in the industry. It would be it would be very good journey, like what I foresee in next 4 5 years. The way lots of technologies are evolving, generative AI is coming, and then on the side of digitization is happening. So maybe next horizon of 5 years, we would be in a position where we can comment that RCS has kind of covered up all the loopholes those are there in the existing messaging ecosystem.
Thank you. Igor, we kind of lost you halfway through mid sentence. Not a problem. Chandras gallantly stepped in there. So, is there anything you'd like to add or finish off what you were saying?
Yes, I would like to add, since it was already, the RCS was already covered, I would like to add a touch on the AI side of using an anti-fraud. Not only you can use AI in terms of detection of anti-fraud, you can also use AI to define very, very complex kind of reactions to different situations, to different scenarios, to different to different details, and kind of make sure that the AI is very, very precise, not only in detection, but also in the measures it casts. We're in my anti-fraud experience, I'm dealing with multiple operators around the world, and some of them are very much relying on the manual ways of countermeasures to anti-fraud, like they would block entire ranges, entire networks, entire countries even. And we think that using AI would allow them to make those very, very precise reactions, very, very precise blockages or traffic restrictions that would make sure that the legal traffic is not affected, but only the fraudsters are being hit.
Thank you. Jake, what would be helpful is, as a sort of senior sales manager, from the point of view of when you're selling your kind of services, maybe from Scarpal's perspective, what are you seeing in terms of how would you talk about technology and what's coming through that differentiates you, perhaps?
Differentiates us between others?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? I think overall, we all know how the industry works and we're all buying and selling the same thing. And I think the only difference to differentiate yourself from competition is you as a person. Does that make sense? So, become closer with the person that you're dealing with, make sure that relationship's there, the trust is there. And, like I say, we're all buying and selling the same things. You have to just stand out from the crowd. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in terms of the actual the service, if are there any innovations that you're involved in? Any sort of emerging things that you're doing that, or you've seen in the industry that we could learn from?
Personally, no, I don't deal in this side. However, I know the team. It's such a hot topic. Obviously, we've discussed fraud and we've discussed things today, and it's definitely something spoken about every hour of the day within our consistently, because we all see it. We all, you're pulling records down and seeing what's going through, and sometimes it's hidden. And we're trying to find ways, as Igor has said, to use AI to be able to detect this before it's too late.
Thank you. So I think one of the problems that we're seeing in the industry, which is maybe contentious, is that in the race to offer the customer a free service, we think about how can we get companies to sponsor the messages or use them for advertising, etc. And then what that results in is a whole load of issues around privacy, data, all of that. So I thought, just coming back to you, Jake, in terms of, from a customer perspective, what sort of issues are you seeing in the sort of privacy, fraud kind of area?
To be fair, there's not a great deal I'm educated on, if that makes sense. It's definitely quite a new thing for me, but it's frequent where some clients would ask you for, if certain content's acceptable, and as soon as it's, everything's been sorted, the route's been figured, or, it's all been resolved our end, they then bombard us with stuff that wasn't discussed and stuff that is dangerous for some people. That's definitely a common problem and people we don't deal with very often.
Okay, so if I could ask the same question back over to Igor then. So the question I'm asking is about the issues that are resulting in messaging. Okay, so from more from a customer perspective, but perhaps if we think of it from an enterprise and consumer, that might give us a bit more colour to the answers. So, what are you seeing in terms of issues from a consumer and an enterprise perspective? And then secondly, what are we doing about it? Igor.
Sure. I think that when we're talking about the issues that are there, we can kind of define two broad categories. One category is the ones that we openly talk about and actually working on resolving, et cetera. And the other ones, there is a category where the issues are kind of being overlooked because sometimes we just have too much on our table. And amongst those issues that are plaguing the industry openly, that are publicly talked about, is obviously AIT, artificial inflation of traffic. And it's difficult to kind of to talk to enterprises especially when they've been hit, when one of the most public people on earth is openly addressing the issue with Twitter, saying that, look, I mean, this is kind of a part of a scam, and obviously the industry is trying very hard to counter it. The other thing is basically just the whole amount of spam and smishing messages that are very, very present in SMS, sadly. And we know that the operators around the world and messaging aggregators around the world, they're trying to gather the resources to counter that. However, I would like to also add the second category, that there are some issues that are kind of overlooked, and it kind of the non-negotiation, non-existence of those issues in the public space is kind of tilting the attention. For example, if we could address the fact that WhatsApp, for example, is a proprietary channel that is kind of closed and there are no rules or regulations in there. Obviously, the enterprises love the price point in there, and they love the fact that it's on the rise. It's a very, very nice channel that is familiar to majority, and it's very, very easy to use, and the enterprises are willing to invest in that. However, we see a major security risk in WhatsApp. WhatsApp is not protected from the issues that are plaguing the messaging industry. It's not protected from any kind of AIT and bots, and what we hear from enterprises, from major financial enterprises, is that the fraudsters, when they try to embezzle funds from the clients of certain banks, they switch over to WhatsApp the first chance they have. Maybe the entrance point, the kind of the introduction of the person that is posing as a bank is done through phone, through call, through SMS, et cetera. But the first chance they have, they switch over to WhatsApp because they know that it's not really a regulated channel. It's not the channel where you have government on your side, for what it's worth. And this thing is kind of a major issue, and it's growing. And what we see is when enterprises are inviting their customers to switch over communication onto WhatsApp, onto OTTs, they kind of increase the conversion of those fraudsters. I mean, if a consumer knows for a fact that SMS is being used by this bank or calls are being used, and they have an inquiry through WhatsApp, they might sense the danger. However, if enterprise is openly using WhatsApp to communicate with their customer, to exchange sensitive data, et cetera, their alarm bell will not ring when the fraudsters kind of try to post the bank and use WhatsApp instead. And it's very, very difficult to investigate those fraud schemes that are going on in WhatsApp. And we think that we should also underline as members of operator community, as the members of conventional operator channel environment, we should be talking about the fact that WhatsApp is not as advertised, and the things that are wrong with WhatsApp should be talked about. So
okay, so but Valentina, you don't use WhatsApp, do you? Must be one of the only people in the room or the industry.
Yes, I deleted WhatsApp 2 years ago. It's a hard time for me especially to keep contact with families and stuff.
So WeChat?
So I did. No, WeChat, no. I use Telegram and Signal.
Telegram, yeah.
But I did. I took this decision.
Yeah, I think
So I don't know what's going on in WhatsApp at the moment.
So actually, I'll come back to this issue question, but I just wanted to throw a sideball question, because I always do that in these panels. So the issue, one topic I wanted to throw in there is around convergence of different types of messaging, right? So one thing I wanted to talk about was satellite. And obviously this year we saw the first SMSs going over satellite. Does anybody have a perspective on that, and whether they think that there's a sort of a shift in terms of alternative messaging, or how satellite might affect things? Chandra, so are you involved in that in any shape or form?
Overall messaging, when it comes to, there are lots of new trends are evolving, but this is what you have added to my knowledge when it comes to satellite.
Okay.
I need to brush up my knowledge when it comes to messaging via satellite.
Yeah, so it's just happened. It's a big thing now. So it's by the end of the year, we're hoping that voice over satellite will kick off. And the reason I mentioned that is because a use case that we haven't talked about is in enterprises, critical communications, and the need to have messaging which is secure, stable, always on, and accessible from anywhere. Is any of you involved in that, in what you're doing?
No, not at the moment, no.
Okay, so there's one to think about then. I think I've added a bit of value. Right.
If I could add the satellite angle, the commercial one, and the service one, I think it's quite obvious that the mobile network operators' infrastructure is very costly to install and to maintain. And if satellites would be the answer to cut some costs, to make sure that the coverage is where it isn't right now, but it will be with the help of satellite, I mean, that's great. That just makes our jobs a lot easier to use the conventional channels, regardless of how exactly the messages and the traffic is being delivered, by using the network of the towers of the satellites. If we are able to provide the same service through the help of different technologies, so be it.
Okay. So then, whilst we're on the topic of new things that I think have been missed in this conversation, if I may, forgive me, the other area which I think is quite scary and subject to even more fraud and more dangers from a mental health perspective and a spamming perspective is this concept of extended reality. So mixed reality in terms of virtual reality and augmented reality. And it's a bit confusing now as to know if we're talking to a bot or a real person, right? So the point there is that how are there any things that any of you are doing which deal with, when selling messaging services, deal with this issue that we just don't know how human do we need to be, and what are the risks involved, and what are we doing about it? Chandras, do you have anything to add to that?
What I feel is on messaging space side, still what I feel, the deep fake or these augmented reality use cases are not there. But traditionally, if you see all the new kind of frauds, those are happening basically by WhatsApp channel. In Southeast Asian market is like somebody just picks your identity on WhatsApp, not your mobile number, and then he kind of with those AI instruments, he like from any social media, he gets your voice modulation and everything, and you get a missed call from that number, and the other party that calls get disconnected within 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, those kind of, I won't say that is totally augmented reality, but those are kind of where deep fake kind of technologies are being used by the scamster to scam the people. And what Igor was saying, that we keep on talking about fraud on traditional messaging channel, but as per our experience in more digitalized market, where like India When it comes to mobile money and digital money, we are number one in the world. There are more than 8 billion digital transactions happen every day in India. So due to this deep fake, this is a new kind of fraud that being involved in our market, and our technology company is working on that, and technology unit is working that how we can protect. But what I feel is when this fraudster uses these kind of non-governmental or non-government control channels like WhatsApp, there is always it's not that easy, and so somewhere governments need to take, or regulators needs to take some, like on national ID side or digital identity side. So that's what I was saying in my earlier comment as well. Digital identity also will become very important.
Yep.
Once this AI and RCS kind of technologies will go ahead. So this is
that's a good
my
one.
take on this.
Okay, so seeing as we've got many different sort of countries represented here, I thought, Valentina, maybe you can help us a little bit with learnings from your business, where you represent obviously China. Are there any things we can learn from you in terms of regulation, compliance, good practice?
So I will not have the exact details of what's happening in China. However, for the experience we have from the international subsidiary is that, for example, for messaging, the control is super strict. So the attention or the capabilities of the, let's say, Chinese government or the Chinese regulators to check on what's going on the messaging is extremely tight and extremely strict. So there are gray routes, maybe for some, for maybe some marketing campaigns or some other, campaigns which are not that dangerous, let's say, for the consumer. However, when someone is asking us to deliver China, there is a specific terms of acceptance that actually reflect the regulation of the Chinese government, which is require, no politics, no sexual, no gambling, a lot of regulation, and that is actually in our MSA. Is part of the deal if you need to deliver China. So it's really, really strict. And we see from the past when we use the platform of China Mobile Group for messaging, actually they require the copy of the passport of the customer and even of the customer. So they require the passport of the CEO of the customer. For example, if I'm working with Lang, I will need the copy of the CEO of Lang and also of their customer. And that is that tight. And I heard in the past, even big brands like LinkedIn and others have been blocked for some, if there is also a slight change of the content that is not recognizable, is not registered, pre-registered as a sender ID, it will be blocked. So it's really, really, really strict.
Okay, so I think what I just wanted to add, I think there's a difference between machine messaging and human. And I think that's something which I think is where the real heart of the danger lies. Is how is that regulated? But I think on that note, I wanted to I think it's time to closing remarks really, because I think we're coming to time now. So I want us to just go around to the esteemed panelists here and just sort of final comments, remarks in terms of what we should look out for in terms of good things and bad things. Just final, what should we? What are the main takeaways summarizing, your experience of the industry? So let's start with Igor. What are the main takeaways for you to tell us?
For me, obviously, is that we should concentrate the issues that we have at hand, and we should invest into solving those issues. Sadly, the world economy isn't what it used to be 5 years ago, 6 years ago, in those happy times, and the money is a lot more expensive to get. it's a lot more difficult to get funds to get those investments. However, the issues stay, and we must be providing the technology to solve those issues. We must be staying one step ahead in terms of technology, in terms of fraudsters. We must be kind of countering their moves and make sure that we can do that, and obviously provide the best price quality ratio to the customers. Surely the messaging is changing. The rise of WhatsApp, the rise of alternative channels, the AIT, they emerge, but they must be countered, just like the issues that the industry countered 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. So yeah, the life goes on.
Okay, Chandras, over to you.
Yeah, specific to messaging industry, what I feel is right. When you talk about Western world, 80% of our enterprises are using messaging or omni-channel platforms for customer reach. But in many parts of the world, still only vice versa. If you see in Africa or in Southeast Asia, still lots of ground to be covered. Industry is already $65 billion US, and in next 5 years, it's been projected to grow at 4 to 5% year on year. So still there is a lots of space, and with the evolution of new technologies like RCS or AI coming into the game, what we feel is there is lots to catch up, and we will keep on growing as per the industry. This is what I feel.
Okay, Jake, anything from you in terms of final wrap-ups?
Short stint, as everyone knows. I've definitely had a good time, and I'm not looking back. I think overall, industry-wise, is the broad range of where else can you travel, meet people from all over the world, have great relationships, great friendships. I just overall feel very humbled, I guess, and very privileged to work amongst this industry. And I would want to be a fly on the wall in Igor's office, because I feel like I'll become an expert within 5 minutes. So one day. But thank you for having me.
Okay, good, thank you. Valentina, last comments?
Yeah, I think as an industry, we should protect the SMS. I think it's still the most valuable priority way of communicating with the customers. You know, I will not be able to follow all the apps notification I have in my phone. It's just impossible. For every single service we are using, we need a new app. It will be totally crazy going forward to manage, 30, 50, 70 apps that you have on your phone. Mm-hmm. So SMS is still the priority for me, but definitely we need to protect it and we need to announce it. So let's get the messages to do a lot more than what we are doing now. And hopefully Channel Mobile might have some solution to do for the international market. And so watch out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think my final sort of comment, which might be a bit contentious, is that going back to my point I made earlier, that we've let the industry become a race to the bottom in terms of pricing. So it's basically free, right? And I think it's a myth to say that customers won't pay for a quality, secure, robust service. And the example is in satellite, going back to that, Starlink's come out and it's extortionate, but people are buying it. When Tesla came out, people bought it, and regardless of price. And I think, when you have something that is beautiful and it works well and it's good for you, people will, I think, and that might stop. If there's a charge to these things, I think it might stop some of the fraudsters. If we get the pricing right and we do charge for messaging that is quality, I think we might have a chance of stopping some of the fraudulent activities. Maybe wrong, but that's my closing remarks. Okay, I'm not sure, we're taking questions, are we? No, we're not doing questions here, but what I suggest is we all stand up and stretch our legs, and we're here, so you can ask us individually, or have a coffee, have a lunch, whatever you want. We're around, I believe. As I said, my colleague Adriana's here as well, if you want to ask us anything about anything in the industry. And with that, Igor, Chandras, Valentina, and Jake, thank you very much for your expert conversation, and look forward to seeing you at lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.